Hello, everybody, and welcome to LUTI tonight here on SplatoonTourney. We are live with Division 10 Worlds Finals. I'm Cater, joined today by my lovely co-commentator, EJ. How are you feeling?
I'm honestly feeling really good. It's the beginning of the Division Final Madness Day, honestly, and starting it off here with Division 10 Worlds with Inquisition and Utility Pale. Both of these teams have been absolutely dominating throughout the playoffs, and now these two teams, just steamrolling in momentum, are about to collide in one last best of 9 set to cap off Division 10 Worlds. And I gotta say, I'm really excited for both of these teams and to see what both of these teams have in store for each other.
Absolutely. Now, I know we both know one of these teams decently well, so I think we're the best commentators to take a crack at it. I know Utility Pale actually in real life because they are made up of players from Purdue's two CCA teams, Push and Rail, combining to make Pale. So land on that custom Explosher. That's pretty much what they're going to be sticking with, unless the team decides to really shake things up. Cobalt on that Slosher, who is an absolute menace. Puff on the Splash-O-Matic. Scooty on a couple different things if they want to, and Cool Vest on standby.
Yeah, and then on the other side, we have Inquisition. They have 6 members compared to Utility Pale's 5. We got Quantum X, Canvas, Golds, Shadden, Blue Falc, and Silly Brelamain as well. As we get squared away for Game 1 on Urchin Underpass Zones. We see, you said there is the custom X-Flosher, but we're looking at the Vanilla Roller and the Tri-Slosher Nouveau from the side of Inquisition as we get ready on our first rollout here.
Yeah, so Land really has the range advantage on Inquisition as they don't have a super long range kind of traditional anchor weapon on their side. Inquisition gonna lose their Tri Nouveau early on as well, which means no cooler. Oh, we do see Puff go down to the hammer throw though, and with that 3 down from Utility Pale, Inquisition is going to overcome that first setback and take control of the zone. We do have the whales coming out from the 52 gal here, and Inquisition slowly but surely making their way up. Scooty, though, popping the Booyah Bomb to make those members go back, and Cobalt also with those Ink Strikes.
Yeah, we see Inquisition still has a good control of the zone here, even though Lan is going to force it into neutral with that X-Blocker shot. But Shadow here with this roller has to be careful because the Crab Tank is bearing right down onto them. That is, like, you don't want to be... One of the places you don't want to be when fighting a Crab Tank is right on top of it. But for the side of Utility Pale, they get back into control of the zone. They stop the forward momentum of Inquisition to stop them at 53 remaining. And with 2 down on the side of Inquisition, even though a hammer is online for Utility Pale, they have to be careful here because, like I said, there's the hammer. It doesn't find anybody. But still a pretty good hold already from the side of Utility.
A good hold indeed, slowly making their way up. Land taking a pretty aggressive stance for an explosion there. Scooty with a nicely timed Booyah Bomb. Land does go down in the splashdown, fortunately. Shadow is using that roller to get the trade out on Puff, but this still means that Utility Pale is fully in control of that zone. Cobalt in this Flow Aura gets a pick with the bomb here and still has those whales. Blue Falc going to activate the whales, but has to dodge the Tri-Strikes coming out from Cobalt. And with all members of Utility Pale, it's so hard for Inquisition to break back into the zone. They're going to try and do it anyway. Shadow making a dive, so does Blue Falc, but unfortunately, the hammer comes out just a little bit too late, and Utility Pale taking this first game and a knockout.
Yeah, you were mentioning earlier that Utility Pale definitely has the range advantage over Inquisition because Inquisition really only had, like, the mini Splatling as probably their longest range weapon, and that really showed there once they got into control of the zone, because we saw Evo, they just sat towards the backside of their zone, they just kept throwing those Explosher globs over and over, and they just couldn't really do anything for Inquisition to get themselves back into the game. They started the game off really strong. The first minute belonged to them and them alone, but then once Utility Pale found their bearings and got a good 2 down here, as you see right here on the replay, this was really the part where the momentum shifted for the side of Utility Pale. We saw Cobalt get the extra pick with that bomb and the Flow Aura, and just from there on out, they just kept a good hold out, and they kept Inquisition back because they really, like we said, they really didn't have a good special to get them back in. Sure, they had Bubbles, sure they had Stamp, and for them, that kind of wasn't enough, especially against the side of Utility Pale.
Yeah, the combination of the well-timed Booyah bombs and strikes from Scooty and Cobalt are really strong here. We saw at multiple points during that match when they would use them either for displacement or even just to get a little bit more paint on that zone. And I really liked what was done with the hammer on the side of Inquisition. I mean, we saw them get the nice the hammer throw pick on Puff earlier on, but unfortunately that on its own doesn't really stand up to so much of the area control from those other two specials.
Yeah, definitely so. But one of the things to note about now is that we're heading over, like, with Urchin is a bit kind of confined spaces. It definitely could have worked a bit for the roller if we saw them get the trade out there. But now we're switching over to, well, Barniesel and Dime. And, you know, it's the SplatoonTourney Classic. Redeem those channel points for those in chat if you haven't already. And for them, it's a much more open. You definitely have much more ability to see people and where they might be. But for the side of Utility Pale, like, they have more open sight lines. They definitely can dominate a little more if they elect to stay with that X-Blosher as well. Just the AoE is very demanding as well for them But for Inquisition, they have to be, like, if they want to choose something with more range here, that definitely could swing the tide back into their favor. But they have to look to see what they can do. Because they honestly, like, even with being a best of 9, you don't really want to go down 0-2 because then that's where it starts to possibly get out of control.
Yeah, best of nines are kind of a marathon, especially compared to the 3s and 5s that you normally see in a lot of our tournaments. Maybe 7 if we're feeling up to it. So 9 is a long time, but yeah, you don't really want to go down 0-2 just because of the momentum of the set. It really sets the tone, honestly, and it's a little bit harder to come back from that in mental-wise.
Yeah, especially, like, if you get down more than one game, then, like, it kind of bogs down the mental, or even just, like... But also, one of the things with mental is that they only have this set to play, so the mental's not that bad, because, like, I mean, like, I'm just gonna, like, I played Milk Cup last night, and after semifinals, my mental got really bad, and then the third place match, I just did not do well. We ended up finishing 4th overall, but that's the benefit with only just this one set, is that you don't have, like, that pre-game mental leading into it. But the problem is that with this being a longer set, it demands a little bit different.
That's true. Yeah, it definitely plays differently from the demand of a tournament going from set to set, or something like even the ladder for NA League where I was last night, not playing but watching and commentating. There, you hopping from best of 3 to best of 3 to best of 3 can get exhausting. But that's not where we are. We're in our best of 9 final home stretch here, going into our second game. Clan Blitz on Barnacle and Dime. Excited to see what Inquisition decides to bring here. Utility Pale sticking to the comp that they know and love. Oh, so we do see a switch to the Snipe Rider 5H coming out here from
I believe we might possibly be having a switch, perhaps. As we're getting word here that it is going to be a rehost here, so it looks like the internet might not be doing too well. I mean, you know, Nintendo 2022. Unfortunately. Alright. Yeah, that is good to know. So, I believe I was just thinking like 2020. Kyon is questioning 2022. Like, am I getting things wrong here? Did Splatoon 3 release in 2023? Am I forgetting things?
No, it was 2021.
Oh my god, this is really showing where I only played Splatoon 3, so
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I know this because it released at Riptide 2021. And so I remember helping all of the Riptide TOs test all of the setups to make sure that they worked, and then the game dropped and it still caused problems.
We're actually getting people in chat saying that it actually was 2020. Actually, I remember it was September 2022. I think.
Oh, 22. I got the month right. I got the year wrong. Thank you, Chad.
You're close enough. I mean, like, so I think, yeah, and Kraken, like, Kyon poking fun at Kraken Mare, like, we always shout out to the COs for any lands and everything. Always shout out to the lands in general as well. We have, like, a lot happening, and also Riptide is looming here in a couple months. Hopefully, it's going to be very exciting to see all this stuff that is going on with LUTI, especially with the fact that, you know, like, this is, like, the time to be alive for being a competitive Splatoon player. Like, you have the end of the league going on, LUTI's wrapping up. We just had a Global Gauntlet for Splat World
Yes.
Series. We had Splash Go over in Japan happen last night, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a lot to like kind of immerse yourself in if you're a competitive Splatoon player. But for these two teams, like honestly, you kind of got to take it like what you have in front of you at a time. And for these two teams, it's this final set for LUTI. And honestly, actually thinking for this, Cater, this is finals for Division 10. Like even though like it's like, what pressure do you think this demands from both these teams?
Well, you said earlier, as we were just looking at the teams for the first time, that these two teams have really been steamrolling through this division, and so it's kind of a matter of unstoppable force versus unstoppable force. Yeah, and so both of these teams have the pressure on them to continue this momentum, to show that now that they are colliding with the other team that has been doing so well in their division, that they are the better one, the one that will come out on top. So I know that at least I was talking to Utility Pale before then, and they really are hungry for that badge. They want to win this whole thing.
I mean, yeah, like when you're at this stage of like LUTI for like leagues or anything, like you want to prove that you're the best, and you know that your other opponent also has proven what it takes to be here. As we get back into game number 2 here, like both these teams, they have what it takes, but like we said, only one can walk away with the win here. But for the side of Utility Pale, the first game win, honestly, the first game win is a really important one for both of these teams. But for Inquisition, they can't let this slip away too much, because if they do, then this could be a really bad situation for them.
Yeah, before we had the game reset, I pointed out Quanta on that pencil, and they are sticking with that. That is going to give them Tacticooler. It is also going to give them a good range advantage against land there, and against UPale's cooler-less comp as well. That could really let them set the tone of the match, but Utility Pale still doing very well here. Lan getting the trade, unfortunately going down mid splashdown, but still gets the trade onto Shadow there. Scooty in mid, looking around for clans. That is, and Cobalt also putting down the green paint. Does go down to, it looks like Blue Falc, who is taking back that right-hand stack, and Junie is going to pop the hammer and go very, very far with that, unfortunately getting canceled at the end there.
Yeah, even though that being said, they did open the chance for Blue Falc to try to get they did manage to sneak in a pick onto Puff as well. But for the side of Inquisition, that kind of unfortunately didn't really work out for them, because they still can't really get back into mid. Scooty gets the pick of the Booyah Bomb onto Shadow, though I believe it may have been a jump-in pick with the Booyah Bomb as a most reasonable assumption, but I couldn't really, we really couldn't even see anything with it. But for Blue Falc, trying to do whatever they can with this 52 gal, gets the pick on the Scooty. But for Inquisition, like they're threatening here, but Utility Pale is really holding firm right now.
Yeah, no clans in yet. Both these teams really just feeling out the neutral position and trying to find and create an opportunity. Cobalt in with the tri-strikes, gets the pick on Quanta, and now this is a great position for them to be in if they can get the pick on Blue Falc. We do have the basket opened, and all of these clans going in, down to 62, down to 53, does pass the all-important 60 benchmark. Puff gets chased out, Shadow on the roller doing what they can, Land coming in from the back line here, but with 2 members down, they are just doing a little bit of damage control. Has that splashdown panic button Scooty at their right-hand side as well. Looks like Junie on the hammer does get the throw off and doesn't find anyone, unfortunately.
Yeah, the hammer throws, like especially with that nerf that Ultra Stamp did receive recently.
Yeah.
But LUTI is still making it work regardless. They get the 1 pick before they fall down to Scooter on the time as well, but 2 down for the side of Utility Pale. Inquisition, this is definitely a chance for them to move up, but with Evo constantly being up with that X-Splasher, there's just so much AoE pressure that they're giving into it, putting onto Inquisition. They pop the cooler, the bubble is still there as well. They have a power clamp to do it. They don't have a lot of economy in their favor right now. We see Looney get the crab cancel with that hammer. They might not be getting a lot of picks with the hammer, but they're definitely doing a lot to work on getting it all out. But for Puff, they get another pick. They make it 2. There's the floor. Make it a 3rd as well, and that is going to be a bit of a blow to the side of Inquisition.
Picks going off left and right, but it is Utility Pale that will come out on top overall in that scenario. A lot of clans are being tossed. We see Cobalt actually throwing one to the ground in front of Scooty to get that ball in. No immediate follow-up. I think Utility Pale really just wanted the security of getting another pick. And never mind, I was wrong. Puff is going to follow up, and Scooty as well. Land getting the pick onto Shadow. Oh, but that is a wipeout in favor of Inquisition. Utility Pale really putting all of their eggs in one basket to get everything that they could into one push. But with the hammer throw going off, with Quanta holding onto this power clam, and Inquisition having the whales go out, they have one power clam go in. That is another wipeout in favor of them. That makes 2. We are past that 60 benchmark. Are they going to be able to find enough clans as Utility Pale respawns? 48, 42, 39. So close to breaking that lead. We are 2 clans away, but now the interactions are going off. Utility Pale loses 2 more members, but Scooty is underneath that basket. Quanta coming in with the second clans, getting it just enough. No power clan for them, but that lead swap is more than enough to change the tone.
Shadow we just saw here. We saw the Stamper trying to get the camp jump on the roller, but the roller being one of the few weapons that is known to can defend its super jump landing really well. Gets the pick and got 2 for trading out themselves. I honestly thought that push was gonna stop at like 33 like we saw earlier, because we saw Evo with that X-Blosser. Just the amount of AoE that they have been putting out is something that has been a bit of a detriment to the side of Inquisition, but no, they made it work as well, as we see. But although Utility Pale is pushing up, they have the mini was splatted earlier. They are respawning in. Evo is electing to pick up this power play. I'm gonna jump back into their teammates per chance. See, as we get ready to start overtime, they definitely have enough to take the lead here if they get a score. But, look at this! Bluebell just said, nope, I'm gonna flank behind you, and they get the extra score, and Inquisition steals game 2 from Utility Pale.
I did not see that coming, and I don't think Pale did either. But yeah, Blue Falc on that 52 gal with a sneaky little push about around the back lines there, saying, you don't have a chance at overtime if I end that timer early.
Who said 52 cal can't be a sneaky sharking weapon? Normally that's the roller on the side of Inquisition, but for them, Floopalk said, no, it is my turn. What I said, that's cool, but watch what I can do. As we saw, one of the big things there, I think what did Utility Pale in was the fact that they got wiped on that initial push. And then, as you see here, they picked up the second wipeout as well. Those back-to-back wipeouts for the side of Utility Pale really did not work out a lot in their favor. And like we saw here, this is a point where I thought that the push was going to stall. Because we see Evo up in height there with the X-Blosser doing whatever they can to put more pressure on. But then, no, the pen snuck in, and we see, I believe it is Shadow? Yeah, it is Shadow, got the double there off on the landing. And then for Inquisition, they just have to hold, even with the amount of pressure that Utility Pale had and everything. Yeah. But as we see here, Fluebal just snuck back in.
Yeah, I think I saw at the end with that push for Inquisition with Quanta coming in with the last couple picks, Scooty was fully anticipating it and did come in to intercept them, but I believe didn't get the immediate direct from the Stamper, and not getting that immediate pick allowed Quanta to throw in those clans to win the game.
Yeah, that was it was very kind of stressful there for the side of Inquisition, because honestly, like I said, I thought that they were going to be losing that game, but no, they managed to pull through, even snatching victory, honestly, kind of almost a bit from the jaws of defeat from the side of Utility Pale, because as you said also as well, they had those 2 extra power clamps as overtime started, but with Fluebal getting off that little cheeky flank, and let it sneak in for the score to make sure to seal the game for them, that is game 2 going into their favor. A 1-1 tie now as we go to game number 3 on Inkblot Tower Control to see who's going to go up 2-1.
Well, we talked about not going down 0-2, and neither of these teams have done that so far, so our set is even. And I think that's about what we would expect from the 2 finalists here in Division 10W.
Yeah, for both of these teams, there's a lot that they still have to be left here. This is definitely a bit more of a important game for them both to win, because, you know, the winner of this is going to go up 2-1. They're going to have a bit of that advantage. Inquisition, they definitely have that momentum, but it was a little shaky. Utility Pale definitely has been doing a lot better against Inquisition, and Inquisition, like, a lot of times when they're trying to hold against them, it is a bit tough for them, because just with the amount of all the pressure Utility Pale, like, I didn't say this earlier, Cobalt kind of haunts me in my nightmares because of a certain FTIU run I had against them, and like, they played so well. Like, hats off to them. I think they got, like, they ended up getting top 4, I think, or no, it was round 1 of Gold Bracket, and they played so well that we had the entire team I was playing on, we were all, like, we were just kind of sitting there like, oh my god, what just happened? Because they did very well, and they are showing it here with Division 10 Worlds, and I'm glad for them that they are putting a lot of effort. Like, definitely, like, one of the things you can think about is that over the LUTI season, like, a lot of teams definitely can prove that they are not the div that they got assigned at the beginning of LUTI. And I definitely think for these two teams, I definitely think that they are definitely higher than Division 10 by this point. It's really just going to be a matter of who is going to come out on top, who might be, like, the better team, like, who could be higher, possibly.
What I think is quite interesting as well is these teams were seeded 32nd and 33rd in this division, with Utility Pale getting that 33rd seed. So both of them, I'm sure, have a lot of pride at outperforming their seed immediately, and both making their way to the finals. Now, I know seeding can be a little shaky in LUTI, and that's not any fault of the TOs. They have so much to seed, but it is kind of funny seeing those very high numbers get into finals here. But we are going to start our Inkblot tower control game. We do have a swap in the side of Inquisition, with Shadow bringing out the Blaster, and that, of course, makes quite a lot of sense. Tower control and AoE go hand in hand, and that big bubbler can be very effective in controlling either just the tower itself for some checkpoints or other key areas of the map.
Yeah, we said Blaster arguably has become one of the best weapons in the game post 11.0, and with Scooty here on the side with the Stamper, honestly, opening as a Stamper player, you want to open left here. Like, this is one of the best places for you to open, because then you could possibly get some early pokes on the ledge, possibly see if you can get any early picks. But for both of these teams, it is a bit of a stall match for the side being. Both these teams only getting just a couple of points on the board to start. But that is kind of always the name of the game when you start this early on. We see Cobalt here. They have you got to make sure you have control of your bats here as well. Popping that crab tank, making sure they can distance everybody out from the side of Inquisition. But they have to drop down because the Killer Whale is pressuring them. That is a bit possibly detrimental for them, because Flubalk, they're on the 52 gal, gets the pick onto the bucket as well. They're pressuring Cobalt, and they do have a lot of control here on this left side. They need to get this tower if they want to get anything there.
Cobalt landed a really nice arc slash, but unfortunately trapped in this 2v1, somehow coming out on top, though, with one backing off and getting the pick on Shadow. Now they have the strikes. They're going to pop that, and Lan hopping onto that tower again with the splashdowns, and Scooty off on the side, taking out another player. I mean, Utility Pale is working like a well-oiled machine. Now Cobalt unfortunately going down to Flubalk there on the 52, who will go on, pick up Lan Evo, and force Puff to back up all the way. Scooty does get the Booyah Bomb off, but with all of that pressure coming out from Inquisition, that push is not as damaging as Utility Pale would want it to be. Quanta immediately hopping onto that tower, popping the Tacticooler and allowing for jumps in.
Yeah, and we see Scooty getting on the side here, dropping that on that left side for the side of Utility Pale, trying to get anything. Both of these teams, like, this has been neck and neck so far from both of these teams, only 2 minutes in, but as we saw Inquisition pushing up, and then Utility Pale was pushing up, and Flubalk was putting a lot of pressure. They forced a lot of people off the tower. They got all those picks. They seem to be doing the same thing again here, and for Evo, they have to be very careful, but their teammates are there to bail them out against Looney in that Ultra Stamp as well, as Shadow has to jump out back for their own safety. For Utility Pale, we see Flubalk. There it is again, going off on this flank, trying to see if they can get any skirmishing fights. They definitely are a bit of a X factor for the side of Inquisition right now, but no, they go down for the side of Inquisition, and with Cobalt down as well, Scooty trying to do whatever they can. They have to pop its Booyah, they pop its Splash into play support for their team. Looney is cornered here against the Stamper, and that is not one of the places you want to be. They do go down as well, they get the lead as well, go through that first checkpoint. And for the side of Utility Pale, even though Inquisition is really putting up a bunch of defense, there's still kind of some cracks in the system right now.
Ooh, that is a hammer throw double that Looney got, and that leads to a wipeout in favor of Inquisition. Utility Pale, though they had that push going, did not have control of bats, and Inquisition took full advantage of that. Now that the Tacticooler is out, it is time for Inquisition to make a push of their own. Another hammer coming out, the Mini puts down so much paint, doesn't find the pick, though, and Looney actually goes down. Flubalk also forced off the tower, going down. Cobalt trading that out. Quanta is forced all the way back onto that flat area, threatened by Scooty, who is sharking underneath that ledge. Shadow looking to do something around the tower here with the Blaster, with that area of effect. Has the big bubbler, and that's going to be useful as Inquisition hops back on the tower, starting another push.
Yeah, even though Inquisition doesn't have the lead per se right now, they definitely are having the momentum swinging more in their favor. Another hammer throw coming out from the side of Looney. Doesn't find anybody, but we see the Stamper sitting up on the top left there, making sure, like, you want to have control of your bats, especially with a incoming push from the side of Inquisition. They do go one down from both sides. The X-Blosser, that is the anchor gone for the side of Utility Pail for the time being. The bucket goes down as well. There's a lot more that they are losing for the side of Utility Pail, but Scooty has a Booyah Bomb ready. They can throw it on the tower here. They're going to shred that bubble right in the right time, and that is going to be 3 down for the side of Inquisition, and that was a well-timed Booyah Bomb, especially with the bubble going out as well, because that really eliminated all the types of pressure that Inquisition could put onto the side of Utility Pail, and that is going to retain the lead for them with only 20 seconds remaining.
Bluefuck sniffed out on the end there and gone down, so no more pressure for Inquisition as we head into the last 15 seconds. Puff is still sitting around that tower. Land coming in with the splashdown to clear out the area around it. No GG Booyah for Utility Pail, but they might not even need it as Scooty is still very well alive in mid, lining up the pick. We have the Crab Tank from Puff, does get forced onto the lower ground. Quanta trying their best to get onto the tower, but Land will hop on first. And so it is going to be Utility Pail taking our next game and bringing our set 2-1.
Yeah, Utility Pail, that was definitely a bit shaky at times, but their defenses, especially when Inquisition was pushing around that first checkpoint area, always was proving that it was really good overall. Like we saw, like towards the end there, like it looked like they may have been possibly losing the lead, but a well-timed Booyah Bomb from the side of Scooty really shifted that defense, and they said, like, nope, we're still making sure that we're in control of this game. And even though it was very low scoring from both of these teams, that was a very evenly placed match from both these teams. Flubap was doing a lot on aggression for the side of Inquisition. Like we even saw here, when the lead was only just separated by just 2 singular points, Flubap drops off to the left there, gets a pick, and forces the last person to jump out eventually as well. And that was a bit of a good reset for the side of Inquisition. But for Utility Pail, they just kind of kept pushing here. They eventually, I believe this is where the tides were shifting a little bit. There was the wipeout, and I believe that was as far as Utility Pail would get, but Inquisition couldn't really, unfortunately, get a lot farther, because with Inkblot tower control, it could be a bit snowball heavy, but that's really if you want to make sure you get in control of the enemy bats as well. But for Inquisition, they never got into the bats, and honestly, when it came to offense, that kind of did them in.
Yeah, it can be very snowbally here, but you have to get the snowball started first, and that doesn't really happen usually until you get up to that second checkpoint and, like you said, take control of those bats areas, and neither team was able to get a huge hold on there, so each push was pretty easily stopped. It was just a matter of who could get closer and to that second checkpoint. But we will move on to Rainmaker here. Humpback Pump Track could be a different beast entirely.
Yeah, I agree here. I honestly think, like, this could go in favor of Utility Pail based on the fact that they have 2 sloshers. They have that X-Blosser. They have that slosher as well. This is a map that heavily favors AoE, like rollers, buckets, even blasters as well, if Inquisition decides to stay with that blaster pick that we saw earlier. But for Inquisition, if they stick with that blaster, they could swing the tide a little bit in their favor. Stamper, this is a bit of a weaker map for it as well. I say it myself, it's my least favorite map with Stamper. But for both of these 2 teams, Inquisition, they're on the back foot again. They are only down 1 game. This is not the worst place for them, but this is still not a place they want to be. They want to be either tied or in front, but that's what both of these teams want. Honestly, for this opening pop here for both of these teams could be a little bit of a stall, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if both of these teams get the opening pop and then we don't see a solid push happen till later.
Yeah, they could just leave it there and wait for a good opportunity to come on out. Oh, okay, I wanted to say that Scooty can swap off of Stamper and that Dread is in his weapon pool, but they beat me to the punch. I know these guys, and I know that they are laughing so hard right now because they are running triple bucket here on Humpback Pump Track, and then on the side of Inquisition, you see Shadow actually swapping over to that Tri-Nouveau for cooler, and then we have the Vanilla Heavy Splatling coming out from Quanta. I love that weapon. You have great taste. That is my personal main weapon. The Wavebreaker coming out almost immediately, and like you said, though the pop did happen very quickly, we still see the Rainmaker sitting there as Inquisition takes over a lot of the mid paint, but doesn't have exactly what they need in that pathing to the checkpoint, and Scooty with the Reef Slider pick will set the stage for Lan Evo actually to come in and dunk the Rainmaker on that first checkpoint, it falling pretty quickly, and will continue to do so as Inquisition loses 2 players and Lan comes in, taking this up, a perfectly painted path all the way to 20 to 18. Utility Pail, though, in the wipeout situation, Inquisition, you know they're going to take full advantage of this.
Yeah, I believe that's actually a quad on the side of Flubach there. I saw only them against everybody else, and they got everybody down. And Quanta electing to take this to the right side. This is definitely a lot faster for the side of Inquisition to meet up with the rest of their team, you know, and get a possible check, get that one pick on the bucket. They have the splashdown ready, and we see a flank coming out as well. It is just the X-Splasher, and that is a wipeout. That's another wipeout. Like we said, the double wipeout. This is one of the big things for the side of Utility Pail that kind of did them in against the Parnisol and Dime Clams game, and they get it down to just 1 point remaining. Cater, this is like, it's one of the worst feelings. You're down, you get a really good push in, but they stop you at 1, and now look at Lan Evo taking this all the way to the right side with this, while Inquisition is still trying to fight in mid, but unfortunately for them, they have to go back to the drawing board for a potential another push to get the lead. But knowing them, that lead is not safe at all.
It absolutely is not. Scooty will go in from the top rope with that Reef Slider. Shadow doing a little bit of a sneaky, actually, coming around from the side. It does not pay off, though. The Rainmaker getting close to that 18 mark, but not extending the lead. Lan does go down there, but Utility Pail does not lose any more members. They still have very strong presence in mid, learning from that first push that got them all the way there. We do hear a this way call out from Colbot, who goes down. Looney putting a lot of paint down from the mini Splatling, as Quanta on the heavy as well. This double Splatling comp with the 2 best painting Splatlings means that there's just so much paint going out. And with Looney getting the pick on Puff using that Ultra Stamp, this is a great place for Inquisition to be. They just have to deal with Scooty.
Yeah, and unfortunately that Reef Slider does not find anybody. Reef Slider, a bit of a tougher special to use, especially when you're on that top mid there, because the terrain is the big disadvantage here. And we see Inquisition does snag the lead back from Utility Pail, even though they are only ahead by 2 points now. Both of these teams have been going neck and neck. You could not honestly script this match better, but watch out, here comes the splashdown against 3, and that is a wipeout on the solo for Lan Evo. And for the side of Utility Pail, this is a very good opportunity for them to push and possibly get the lead here, but no, everybody in Inquisition is respawning in at just the right time. But enough players go down, they can't get past that ink rail. But for Utility Pail, they are pressuring a lot right now.
So much pressure coming off. Lan is still alive and putting in the pressure all the way from mid. Colbot having to back off, though, as Inquisition does respawn and drop that Rainmaker back into mid. Flubach backing up all the way on this right side here. And you can see Utility Pail really wants to threaten, but isn't getting too close just because of how much pressure Inquisition is putting off around this Rainmaker. Stalling it out here on this side, though, Scooty has started to catch on, and all of these sub-weapons and the strikes, everything is getting thrown at this Rainmaker, who is backed into this literal corner. Puff stepping forward, unfortunately goes down. We are close to our final minute here, and Flubach somehow continuing to survive, but with 2 specials fully going out. Utility Pail is throwing everything at the wall right now. I do think that double special leaves them at a bit of a deficit, though, because they don't have that Reef Slider in future pushes, and that Rainmaker is in a very silly spot right now, right on top of that wall. Cobalt going off onto the side. Flubach, yeah, fully cementing it there on top of the wall. This is a terrible place for Utility Pail because they have to go all the way around to pick up that Rainmaker.
Yeah, just Utility Pail was throwing everything in the kitchen sink the side of Inquisition, and they can't get this pop. This is unfortunately one of just the classic Rainmaker stall spots. Actually, I've never really been all too familiar with this spot, and Flubach sitting here with the 52 gal, that splash wall, doing everything they can, just being the absolute thorn in the side of Utility Pail. Utility Pail is like, just, they're doing everything they can to try to get it, and Flubach is going to try to pick up that Rainmaker. The Rainmaker is going to reset, though. This is going to be a big chance for the side of Utility Pail, because now with that Rainmaker reset, they have to pop it here, though, if they want to get the lead here. They get the pop, they pop the strikes, but no, they didn't pick it up, and Inquisition is going to steal game 2.
Oh, I saw Quanta pumping every single heavy splatling charge directly into the Rainmaker shield to ensure that Utility Pail did not pop it, and it worked. So now our set is tied up 2-2 again with such a close game, just a 2-point difference there. I mean, these teams are so well matched. Here is where this lead swapped from the 1 point difference, where Quanta somehow managed to just snake their way through every single thing that Utility Pale was throwing at them, get that lead by just 2 points. And I saw that Utility Pale wanted to throw a lot of ink at the feet of Inquisition of that Rainmaker, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough. Land, though, is immediately follow up with a triple on that splashdown, leading into a quad for them as they finish it off with that last shot. But I think Inquisition being able to get it in this top of the wall spot means that Utility Pale just didn't have any avenues to start the push, despite you can see all of the orange paint leading up to that checkpoint.
Yeah, it's just, unfortunately, it being stuck in that little spot there, that is just a classic, like, just what can you do with Rainmaker moments, because they get the pop here. We saw Cobalt pop the strikes to try to secure them to grab the Rainmaker, but it was just a second too late for the side of Utility Pale. But for them, they showed a lot of promise here. They definitely, this is a game of, this is a game of inches, but these inches feel like miles between these two teams.
Yeah, they are so evenly matched, and I think both of these teams are starting to understand how the other play is getting the wipeout situation from multiple times. This is a far cry from the stalemate-heavy, low-scoring games that we were seeing before. I mean, it was Inquisition setting the tone with multiple games where they got 2 wipeouts back-to-back, that Utility Pale is stepping up and saying, hey, we can do that too. And now we will move to our Game 5, Mako Mart Zones. I don't want to say back to square one here, but honestly it does kind of feel like it, where we're 2-2, we're back at zones on a very classic zones map at that.
Yeah, this could be a very interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Inquisition pull out that blaster again, because this, even though Macomart is much more known for being a carbon map, you gotta kind of give it credit to Blaster too. Blaster can really get a lot of poke damage on those stacks as well, and we see if Lanivo's gonna stick with that custom X-Splasher with the splashdown, they can put a lot of AoE up there. Seeing the triple slosher from the side of Utility Pale, I mean, like, hey, they're you see up there, their image is a bucket, and I mean, like, they're living up to that name.
It is a pail. It is a utility pail, specifically. That is, I believe, the actual name of the bucket that is in their image. That's why they're called utility pail. It's great. Love those guys. But yeah, I do believe that Land will stick with the custom Explosion. Any switches will probably just be to the other kit of the Explo, but I don't really see that happening. I do think that Scooty will head back to the Stamper, the sticker Stamper that they really like. And we were talking about all those ledges that can favor Carbon, can favor Stamper as well, especially on those 2 stacks where the anchor players really want to post up and get a lot of control over the mid zone, but they can be threatened on all sides because the ledges are so small and so easily accessible to any other weapon that wants to be a thorn in their side.
Yeah, the ledges for Stampers are honestly like your best friend, and like saying that as a Stamper main myself, like you want to be there. You like under a ledge is one of the most dangerous spots you gotta be, but you have to be careful with the side of Utility Pale. Or actually, no, I'm thinking Scooty's on Utility Pale. What am I saying? But for the side of Inquisition, if they pick that blaster, they have to be careful if they're going to be poking under that stack, because that blaster AoE can very much hit them under there. You want to be careful. You want to be playing to your range. Playing to range for Stamper is one of the biggest things that you can do, because especially with the kill time. But no, it doesn't look like a Utility Pale is going to have to worry about it, because we see they go back to that Ninja Squid roller and the 52 as well, and we see the pencil return for the side of Inquisition.
Yeah, Inquisition still having that cooler and Utility Pale not, but honestly, with the pace that these teams are both playing at, it feels like they both have cooler. It will be Inquisition with the paint support from Quanta on that pen to get the first cap of the zone. The tactical cooler does go out. Utility Pale quickly, though, putting a lot of paint on the zone. Land especially, that is what the Explo is known for. We do see the hammer throw come out, does get one, but Land is the only one left standing on Utility Pale, has to back up here, has those triple splashes in case anyone threatened them up close, but it is not a break-in special, and so they're going to have to wait for something like this Booyah Bomb to be ready from Scooty. Not in a great place to pop it right now, especially with these whales that are threatening them, but they are going to pop it anyway. It goes onto that left stack, pushing out those members of Inquisition, but finding no picks, and Scooty is forced to back up all the way here. We do finally see a pick on Looney on that mini split, and with that Utility Pale surges outwards. Puff finding the trade there on Shadow. Land coming in to clean up the paint left over, and now Utility Pale in control of that zone.
Yeah, this is like that was a bit scary for the side of Utility Pale, but that was kind of the name of the game with some of the earlier games we saw in the set, like where it was a little shaky for them at start, but they found their bearings. They got the pick. They get the pick onto the roller. That is a big sneaky weapon down for them as well. They go down with the 52 gal as well. There's another 2-down situation, but they are all cooler, so they keep their specials. The whale gets popped immediately from the side of Flute Duck, but look at Cobalt here on the flank here. They get the pick on the 52. The mini is on them. They are very weak, but they do go down. There's 2 down for the side of Utility Pale now. LUTI is going to want to try to get a pick with that hammer. They go down to the splashdown, but with Shadow popping this bubbler on the stack there for the side of Inquisition, this is possibly going to be a flip in their favor, but not before Utility Pale has something to say about it.
I thought it would be a flip for sure, but somehow not getting past that neutralizing point. LUTI on the hammer, putting as much paint on the zone as they can with that mini splatling. It does get neutralized again with 2-3 down on the side of Utility Pale. Just 4 points remaining. Inquisition will take it back and apply a massive 73-point penalty to Utility Pale. And that is going to be a lot to work through, but working through that is not their biggest concern right now. It is breaking out of the hold that Inquisition has. Puff on the high ground with this nicely timed crab tank. Does get the pick on LUTI, that is huge. Gets a second as well, and with the third going down, and all of the strikes coming out, and the Booyah Bomb we saw off screen as well, Utility Pale surges outwards and breaks out of this hole.
Yeah, that was a very well-timed crab tank from the side of Utility Pale. Their initial target was the pencil on the left stack because they wanted to get that long-range pressure off their stack, and then they saw a bunch of people underneath them trying to shoot down the crab tank, and they just would rain down on them from above. And that was going to be an easy double for them. Almost made it a triple, but with all the jumps in as well that we saw on the right stack there, we see the Booyah Bomb come out as well, the splashdowns. Everything is getting thrown out here from the side of Utility Pale, keeping themselves in control of the zone. Scooty gets the pick on the sword, climbing up there as well. It is just Quanta remaining and LUTI trying to hold down the fort for the side of Inquisition. We see Shadow going off on a flank here. The Land Evo doesn't even know that they're there. If they don't realize that it's going to be a bit of a second too late. It is going to be too late, but it is too late for the side of Inquisition as Utility Pale once again going back up in a 1-game advantage. Neither of these teams have won more than 1 game in a row, and like you said, they just couldn't be more evenly matched.
Too late for Land Evo at the end there, but just in time for that zone. And something else that I want to point out is, oh, look at that. Nice fist bump to cap things off. But we also saw Puff get a trade, really step forward and initiate that. And the trade was, of course, in favor of Utility Pale because then Inquisition didn't have the additional power onto the zone. Here's where Utility Pale was getting a little bit scared and then able to come back and drop this. And then here is their really extended hold on the zone right now. They're at 50 and counting, and Quanta is doing everything they can to provide paint support, but it just keeps getting painted over. And now LUTI was really trying to get extra paint on the zone with the Ultra Stamp, and that started what the rest of Inquisition would follow up on, getting the members of Utility Pale that were on the zone and able to come in and take that back.
Yeah, for the side of Utility Pale Inquisition, that was a really good flip for them because that was almost a 100-0 on the side of Utility Pale, even if it wasn't a complete dominant 100-0, because they did force the zone neutral for a little bit. As you see Scooty here, they were playing to their range advantage. They definitely want to space that gal out, and that was really a big advantage for Stamper, is that the range is what you want to play with. For Stamper, the kill time up close is not really good, but you do have that crit one shot, which could do something for you, but you're much more better at playing at your range. But for Scorch Gorge Clan Blitz on game number 6 here, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Inquisition wins this.
Yeah, I do think that is a bit more in their favor, especially with the choke points that are really here. If they decide to bring out that blaster again, that putting that big bubbler underneath the clam basket can be absolutely devastating. And given how our last Clams game went as well, Inquisition was probably feeling very good here.
Yeah, although for the side of Utility Pale, they still have a lot of that AoE pressure. One of the things that I like when I play Booyah Stamper on Clan Blitz Scorch, one of the things you like to do a lot is when you want to use your Booyah Bomb, one of the things that I like to do, I don't know if this is really any don't quote me on this being the big
universal Stamper tech. Yeah.
Like, even though I'm sure it might be almost 10-star V-Stamper at this point, but don't quote me on this for being, like, universal Booyah Bomb knowledge. A lot of times you want to think when you want to throw your Booyah Bomb, you want to make sure that people know when to push in with it, but also you want to know where you want to throw it to possibly shut off an area or cut off escape routes. Cutting off escape routes,
yes,
especially if the other team is in a bit of a predicament. Like, if you throw the Booyah Bomb in behind by the basket here, and then land, like, comes up in splashdowns, all of a sudden, everybody's being forced into the splashdown.
Yes.
And that could be a lot of damage done for the side of Inquisition.
No, I think you're absolutely right. That thought process is very important to Booyah Bomb because though you can get picks with it, very often it's more used as an area denial special just because you throw it. It kind of takes, 2 to 3 business days to announce its explosion, and most of the time people can get out of the way. But getting out of the way is what they are forced to do, and you can use that to filter them into specific places or, like you said, cut off those escape routes, disallow them from going to places that they want to be. We actually saw this happen in the North American League last night, where we had a player on Urchin Underpass throw a Booyah Bomb and then immediately intercept the player that was fleeing from it because they threw it behind the player that was in front of them. The player was forced to move forward, and then this person who was on Forge Pro said, I know exactly where you're going. I'm going to cut off your escape route from the hazard of my own creation.
Yeah, no, like, saying, like, unfortunately, just the amount of AoE, or just not AoE, but just, like, the denial that Booyah Bomb can provide here for the side of Utility Belt. If Scooty elects to stay with Booyah Bomb, we don't know if they're going to stick to Booyah Bomb here with the Booyah Sword, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do. We could see them play the Dreadbringer again, like we saw in Huffback Rainmaker. But it's like, you could see it, you could not see it. It's ultimately down to Utility Pale's choice here as we are waiting for this next game. Like, with Utility Pale, like, this has been the territory that they've been in for both games going into games 2 and 4. They know that Inquisition is gonna come back swinging. They have to think about, what are we gonna do to try to shut them down and possibly finally get the first 2-game lead of this series. Because, like we said, neither of these teams have won more than 2 games in a row. It has been back and forth, and neither team is willing to go down 2-0, or go down 2 games, rather, as we see the Zinc mini splatling from the side of Inquisition.
Well, I really like that Zinc mini pick. I was talking about the Big Bubbler earlier, and that is another pick for it. We also have the Toxic Mist for even more area denial. And I do believe that is our first appearance of Silly Brella main coming out here, with Brella playing the custom blaster. So Brella on the blaster, that's not confusing at all. But we do see the Big Bubbler popped on the right there, though Looney does go down in the middle of it. Flubalk is still able to take advantage of it. Inquisition being... Ooh, I was gonna say getting the first clam in, but Lan Evo going to deny that with the splashdown there. So no push for Inquisition. Utility Pale going to be the ones taking advantage of those picks to take a lot of mid. Lan Evo is set up there.
Yeah, actually, you were actually just talking about that, and that makes me realize one thing. The custom X-Splasher, like, you can see how crowded that hallway can be, leading right up to the basket. And for the side of the X-Splasher, if they have the splashdown, that is just a giant, like screw you, here's a giant explosion hitbox to get any picks here. As we see, Utility Pale does get the first jab at the basket. We see Lan Evo getting the double here. They have a splashdown ready as well, to see if they could possibly do another thing, because like we said, a bit of a choke point there. That splashdown could do so much damage, as we see Brella does pop the splashdown to get Cobalt down. We see actually splashdowns going blow for blow here, but for the side of Inquisition with that bubble and the cooler out as well, they wasted all their specials here. Nobody has any specials, so it's going to be a bit of more of a stalemate here to see who could possibly get the next push.
Puff is holding on to another power clam for Utility Pale. They are in control of the clam economy right now and the special economy as that Booyah Bomb goes out. Oh, and forces someone perhaps off the map there. Puff is slowly but surely working their way and has the crab tank. Doesn't want to pop it here because they are the carrier, so does throw it off, and it is someone else who is going to get that in. Now we do have Puff onto that crab tank. We have a couple more clams going in. Gets to 59 past that choke point. Puff getting the pick on Looney at the very end there, but Lan is forced to back off just because losing their teammates there. We do see another one go down, but that is a nice extension of the lead for Utility Pale.
Yeah, that is this is a really good for them right now. This is what they want to do. It's like we were saying, like they want, like you could tell they want to go up on a 2-game lead here. But with how this game has been, this series really has been playing out the entire time, Brella gets the splashdown, gets all the picks, and the bubble is out as well. There is the first score for Inquisition. They have a couple extra clams to put it in for the time being, but we have to be careful. We see, look at Flubalk here doing a really good job sitting on this left side here to possibly shut down any retakes from there. They do get the lead swap for Inquisition, but with the Zinc Mini going down, the Booyah Bomb is ready as well, but there are 2 down for the side of Utility Pail, but they do finally clear everybody out from that side as well for the time being. It looks like the basket is going to close, but not before Flubalk can make a mad dash for the basket, but gets shut down, shutting down that push already at 29 remaining.
29 is huge, especially as we have about 2 minutes left in this match. Inquisition, like you said, coming back swinging, and I'm sure Utility Pail expected this. They are already gearing up for another push of their own, using the strikes pretty early on before they even have a power clam. I think Scooty was counting on finding a clam, but one that does get thrown to them goes off of the map, and so now Puff is the one with all the clams for Utility Pail, but the opportunity is lost with 2 specials coming out and Cobalt falling to the whales. Utility Pail is forced to go back into their own territory here. Puff with the crab tank and the power clam, looking for a pick on Flubalk, who is threatening with that 52 gal.
Yeah, with that gal, there's being a big form of aggression for the side of Inquisition. Puff nearly falling to the pencil. They do finally go down on the top there. You see Brella here does have a bunch of extra clams. The economy is much more... Actually, no, I stand corrected. All of a sudden, the economy explodes for the side of Utility Pail, but now actually it goes back more middle here, as with 46 seconds remaining, both of these teams trying to do whatever they can. Utility Pail has a lot of resources. They have the splashdown, they have the strikes, but so does Inquisition. They have a lot of specials of their own as well, and for Inquisition, they still have control of mid.
Yeah, Utility Pail being forced to clump up a little bit here. Cobalt is using those strikes just for a little bit more area control, and Lan uses the splashdown to get a pick on Flubalk, but we do see Cobalt fall, and with it, the power clam. Lan goes down there as well, so losing 2 in the last 17 is not what you want to see. Scooty is able to save that claim and toss it up on the ledge for Lan to pick up as they respawn, or Cobalt, that works too, but Flubalk putting in some work, getting a pick, does go down. We have a power clam in play for both teams here, but it is Utility Pail with 2, a huge 20 clams under their belt. It is a lot of resources, but they have to get all the way to that clam basket. The big bubbler goes out on that ramp, just preventing Utility Pail from even looking there. Lan does go down. Scooty does put out the Booyah Bomb, but there's no immediate follow-up on it, and the strikes go out as well. Puff making a mad dash, but going down. Time runs out for Utility Pail. They will not get the 2-game leg up, and we see our set once again tied, but now it's at 3-3.
Honestly, Cater, between you and me, I won't be surprised if this goes to game 9. Like, these two teams are just, like, neither team, like, both of these teams just have the response for each person, or for each push, or each game. Like, you say, oh, we win a game? Okay, we know what to do. We want to do, like, they got the, Inquisition got the switch in that they wanted. That blaster sitting on the ramp there at the end of that game really kind of did Utility Pail in, because if they didn't get that blaster down, that was just going to be, they would just sit there and just put so much AoE out, and for Utility Pail, they just couldn't keep up with it, and eventually the time unfortunately ran out for them, and that was game going to Inquisition.
It was indeed. Looking at the replay here, this is when Inquisition had their own push. That was the big bubbler underneath the basket that I was talking about. And Quanta again coming in with the clams to take the lead. That is a running theme in both of these clam blitz games. This is, I believe, Utility Pail's first push, where they got to 77, and Lan got this nice double here. They had the splashdown as well, but I think just didn't have the immediate resources to be able to push and further that lead.
Yeah, it was a little unfortunate. Like, we saw there was a lot of stuff going right for the side of Utility Pail. They couldn't get everything that they could going, like, all the way into their favor and to possibly get another score in. But now, with Game 7 going to Undertow Spillway Tower Control, like, normally if you're in the Sendoku Major, this is it. But for LUTI, this is far from it right now. This game, honestly, like, these two teams, like, they keep going blow for blow. Like, honestly, if the narrative is going to stick here, this could be Utility Pail winning. But with Inquisition, this could be them winning, because still, we're still waiting to see who finally is gonna get this first 2-game lead. But the thing is also as well, whoever wins this game is gonna go to match point.
That is correct. They will, because it will be 4-3 then, and you have to win 5 in our best of 9. So, though we have had our time and our fun for the last hour trading blows, time is slowly but surely running out for these teams. You can only go one up and then one up on the other team for so long before the TOs say, hey, we're putting a cap on the number of games. You can't play best of 11. We're not doing that, guys.
Yeah, like honestly, I could watch these two teams duke it out for hours on end, honestly. But for these two teams, only one. It is unfortunate that we only have the max amount of games, that being 9 here. But with 6 games gone, and now we're heading into this. Really, this is honestly for us. Like, we always were talking about how this next game, like in a tied set, is important. This is honestly the most important one.
For sure. Yeah, it like you said, brings them to set point. It sets the momentum. We're getting tired. You know, this is a marathon of a set, and being able to have that momentum going into our last couple games is so important. We do see the Zinc Mini Splatling here to stay, as well as that custom blaster. It is going to be Inquisition making the first stand on the tower, and does get 2 down on Utility Pail, so they are going to continue this. Rella here over on the side, getting those area of effects on Scooty, goes down mid, splash him, but still takes out Puff after the fact, and that means Cobalt is the only one remaining, barely hanging on just by a thread there, and Inquisition using this to go all the way up and through that second checkpoint.
Yeah, for them, this is a big, strong response for the side of Inquisition. Like, this is, like, we haven't been seeing, we've always been kind of seeing them on the back foot. They've always been trying to play catch-up on the side against Utility Pail, but now they're finally the ones in control here. They get the splash down, they get 3 down once again on the tower here. They're still running. They're going to get to this penultimate 3rd checkpoint here. If they manage to clear it, this could be really bad for the side of Utility Pail. They get the wipeout. The checkpoint is broken. Quanta, they pop the splashdown. Umbrella is still there. The Booyah Bomb does get the pick. They stop the bleeding. They save themselves from the wipeout. But for Utility Pail, they have to do a lot here to get themselves back in front of this game.
The bar has been set high, and it has been set early in that first push, taking it all the way to 6 for Inquisition. Land is starting off strong with a pick, but unfortunately that is a delayed wipe situation for Utility Pail as they try and make their way back into mid, and so it is Quanta hopping back onto that tower, putting off so much paint with the pencil, and Looney on that mini Splatling also coming here to follow up. Puff popping the crab tank. Does go down through it, though. Looney does have the big bubbler to provide more security. Cobalt is trying to interact with the tower, and Scooty puts off the Booyah Bomb as well, but no, only one pick going that there. Brella with the big splash down and going off onto this uninkable ledge. Does go down to Lan, who catches them out there.
Yeah, that was a bit, they overextended just a little bit too much, but with Inquisition, they are playing with a ton of aggression right now, and Utility Pail can't seem to do a whole lot. They're getting a lot of risky jumps in the back that they keep getting picked off as well. Puff does get the pick onto Brella. I believe that is also the Flow Aura activated for the side of Utility Pail, but another 2-down situation, another 3-down situation for the side of Utility Pail. This is an entirely different Inquisition that we have been seeing as they pick up the wipeout to boot.
Yeah, they've really turned the tide here. This is kind of how this first game felt in favor of Utility Pail, but the script has been flipped. Just consistent dominance from Inquisition as they have, like you said, this very strong aggression backed up by Looney here supporting with the big bubbler. Puff in that crab tank is forced to back off with the combination of the mist and the bubble, preventing him from doing anything. Land going in top rope with the splashdown, gets 2, and going there. Puff picks up a trade for a 3-down situation on Inquisition, forcing Looney all the way back into mid. Scooty trying to follow up there, but getting the jumps in with Brella and Quanta, who are very quickly coming in swinging to pick up more. 2 down again on Utility Pail. I feel like there's a lot of work coming out from this blaster here, and Flubalk as well, consistent on that 52 gal. Looney is the one that is going to extend up onto this uninkable here. Land taking the top right place, but having to fall to Quanta. It is very difficult for Utility Pail right now.
Yeah, and that being said, they finally will ride this into the end checkpoint, and that is going to be the first lead of this series going to Inquisition. And for them, they finally break through. We finally have seen the first 2 games won in a row for either of these teams. And for Inquisition, they are on match point now, and with the absolute dominant showing with Utility Pale, they kind of were staggering a little bit. Like, they kept going 3 down a lot there, and it kept doing them in. And now they have to win these next 2 games if they want to come out as champions of Division 10 Worlds.
I do think that they have it in them, considering the neck-and-neck performance that we've seen from these teams and how they still had strong defense moments. I mean, they were able to stop that push at 6, like you see here, and hold out for a good additional portion of this match. Puff here on this crab tank, as well as Lan on the splashdown. The combination of that stopping the tower just at 1, which is something that I didn't catch in the moment. So thank you, stream coordinator Jorian, for this wonderful replay. We appreciate it quite a lot. But like you said, we are now sitting at set point at 4-3. So this next match could be the end of it on Museum Alfonsino Rainmaker if Inquisition wants to tie things off with a bow.
Oh dear, Cater, I'm getting flashbacks to Humpback. You know what I'm talking about here. Honestly, it is like we saw them early. We saw Floop out just sitting in the corner. A cornered Rainmaker, honestly, one of the most dangerous weapons because you can't get up, approach it, and just shoot it down because it's gonna shoot the it's gonna shoot a charge shot at you and you're gonna get splatted as well. But also seeing Utility Pale throwing just throwing everything. They were throwing strikes. They were throwing like bucket sloshes. They were throwing the kitchen sink. They were throwing they were throwing the entire backyard
reef
shed.
Slider strikes. I believe the splashdown went off on it as well. Yeah, that little glass wall, I do think that Flubog will be eyeing it if Inquisition is in a place to stall it out close to the end of the match. Now, I hope it doesn't come to that. I like myself a, action-packed set rather than watching the Rainmaker on the wall, but when you're in finals, you gotta do what you gotta do to win, so I won't hold it against them if they decide to stall it out there.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is one of the most well-known stall spots in Rainmaker and competitive Splatoon at this point. But with Utility Pale, they have a lot to prevent that, though. They have a lot of the AoE and the buckets. They have, even if they could get it, they definitely have a lot to get themselves, possibly
buckets
staggering off this. As here, once again, there is the triple slosher.
Yeah, Inquisition has found the comp that they liked. No more subbing. They are all business here, sticking with that Zinc Mini and the Custom Blaster. I think those combinations have been very good. But Flubog opening on the right side and getting punished for it. Scooty did see that. I think still a little bit of the Stamper Brain, even in this Dread hardware, is working out for them. The Big Bubbler going out on the left-hand side. Puff picking up a trade there. Ooh, but Scooty going in, and that is a 3-down situation for Inquisition. Lan, Evo, the spinner, and the perfect place, going to go and dunk that checkpoint very smoothly. It is Quanta on the pencil that is left there. The Tactical are a little bit abandoned because it's quite far forward, and the members of Inquisition very clumped up here. The Toxic Mist directly on the checkpoint, though, preventing them from moving forward, and that's 2 down on Utility Pale. Puff going down, though, does pick up a 1 pick for the road. Lan, Evo using those splashdowns in a very defensive manner. Our Rainmaker resets.
Yeah, that was a very good defense from the side of Inquisition to prevent any further damage. Like you were saying, that Toxic Mist sitting on the Rainmaker definitely would slow down anything and would probably get an easy pick on the Rainmaker carrier, as now Inquisition is going to get a pick on the Rain Shield. They don't get to this checkpoint here. Scooty pops this Reslider, tries to get something here. Looney takes the 70, but doesn't go down all the way. And actually, we saw it earlier. There's the bubble. We saw them slider earlier, and as my good friend Starla says, is that a bubbler? When they slider as they always do, they slider it as well. Puff popping this crab tank here on the top mid. They definitely are in heavy firing from the side of Inquisition, but Puff definitely takes his chance to move up. They are pressuring this pen. They go 2 down, make it 3 now for the side of Inquisition. It is now going to be 4 as well. This is going to be the chance for Utility Pale to put some a lot of extra points on the board.
They are doing so. Lan Evo with the Rainmaker, Scooty with the Reeve Slider. Lan, though, a little bit too far back to follow it up. That's okay. They get to 30. That is a good place to be. Of course, at the very base of that ramp leading up to the checkpoint. Ooh, Cobalt falling into this Flow Aura state here after that pick on Silly Brella main. The Rainmaker does go down still as Utility Pal keeps their presence, and Cobalt has these strikes as well. The big bubbler does go out to prevent any covering fire, though, and with Cobalt going down and Brella popping the triple splash down. Puff still doing a little bit of a sneaky here, actually popping out from the back line to get the pick on Silly Brella main, and now grabbing from the top here, gets the pick on Looney as well, and a lot of chip damage on Quanta, forcing them very far back. Utility Pale now is very dominant in this match. Oh, but Cobalt and Puff both going down to the whales there.
Yeah, no, there's a lot. This is definitely a lot more in favor of the side of Utility Pale. We see Scooty does go down before Lan Evo bails them out with a splashdown. But now Floopalk here with this aggression on the 52 gal. This is what Inquisition has been relying a lot on. Is we see Falk's gal doing a lot here, and we see Cobalt goes down as well. Brella's moving up. They pop the bubble. They pop Mist. They're most likely going to get the check here possibly. But no, the X-Splasher. Lan Evo in a perfect position to prevent anything from happening, and beep, Re-Slider gets the wipeout, and that is a big momentum stopper for Utility Pale.
Unfortunately, Inquisition there was clustered in what I like to call fireball formation, where just one large AoE takes them out, and Scooty saw that opportunity and went in with that. So now it is back in Utility Pale's favor. Lan Evo does go down to everything that is being thrown at them, but Cobalt is still here, still alive, opts to jump out to keep those triple strikes. We are at 1:30 left, and so far, Utility Pale's defense of their 30 lead has been holding up. Cobalt, unfortunately, not able to get out of that situation with just a sliver of their health left. Looney is slowly but surely working their way up this ramp and has this big bubbler that is likely going to go out in this location, yet protecting that checkpoint. Oh, but the Reef Slider again into the bubble. Doesn't find any picks this time, though. Yeah, it is a bubbler. And Scooty going down. The timing not quite in their favor this time. Quanta finally able to come and dunk on this checkpoint here. Utility Pale is respawning, but Lan Evo goes down. So many specials coming out for Inquisition right now as the Rainmaker goes out. But the paint is not in favor of Floopalk. And there is the bomb coming out. They get stopped at 49. Cobalt here with the strikes. Can they hold it off? Brella goes down, but the lead does swap 24-30 in our last 40 seconds here, and now it is up to Utility Pale to break out of this iron hold that Inquisition has on the map.
Yeah, no, this has been a big switch. But look at this, Brella's got a break on the lane.
Goodness.
They get a break. Scooty picks them off, but that could have been that's so dangerous. For the side of Utility Pale, they get 2 down. They get 3 down now. They have to go back and pop this Rainmaker. Scooty looks like they're going to have to pick it up. Unless, no, it looks like it's going to be Lan Evo. They are going to be the ones to pick up the Rainmaker. They have the Crab Tank. They have the Re-Slider. The Crab comes out early. We see Looney here. They get the pick on the Crab Tank. That is a big that's a big downside for the side of Utility Pale. The Re-Slider gets 2. Overtime has begun. This is do or die territory now for the side of Utility Pale. Scooty holding down the fort for the side of Utility Pale. Brella is making a mad dash for the rain. They go down as well. Lan Evo has to make a big push here. The Toxic Mists come out. They have to get this Zinc Mini down. They get themselves in the mist. The Mini goes down. This is it. This is it. This is going to be the game. And no, it's not enough. Inquisition, they hold firm. And they take game number 8, and they take Division 10 with an absolute stall, like the big stop there for them. And oh, that's so heartbreaking for Utility Pale. They were so close.
So close indeed to heading to that game 9. This is, I believe, yeah, we're at about the 3-minute mark in our match here with Cobalt getting that pick onto Quanta, having the strikes here, and a little bit more in that neutral ground. I think this is where the tide really started to turn for Inquisition when they, not quite here yet. That was when the shot from Lan arced over and got the pick down, and then Scooty coming in to get the triple on the Reeve Slider. But here is where the tide really started to shift with these whales coming out 2 down on the side of Utility Pale and Floopalk with so much paint underneath them. Puff and Scooty able to stop the Rainmaker for a second, but going down for it, and Cobalt tried to stop it with the Ink Strikes, but unfortunately just was not quite fast enough. This was our last 30 seconds here, where Brella was able to get, and I think Lan saw it coming, but the timing of the splashdown meant that Brella was able to swim directly under them, getting it to 11, and honestly, I think that might have been the game-winning push there, because here in overtime, Utility Pale was doing everything they could. The miss slowed them down, but Lan soldiered through it. They got so close, but Quant was able to drop down and get that game-winning pick onto Lan. Battle of the Anchors.
Man, that was crazy. Looking at this, it is crazy to think how both semifinals and the finals here in Division 10 World all finished only going to Game 8 for both of these teams. But for the side of Inquisition, they made the swap. They swapped in Brella, and looks like Brella really helped a lot there for the side of Inquisition and Utility Pale. Unfortunately, when they were getting all those pushes in for Inquisition, we saw it looked like Utility Pale was staggering a little more, and that really kind of was the nail in the coffin, because if they kept staggering like that, that's let Inquisition get the lead and then eventually get it down to 11. But it was so close. Like, Utility Pale had everything going for them.
I know.
And they had that push there. They had all the members they were going down. Like we said, they had to get rid of the mini. They got rid of the mini. But they made the mad dash for it, but everybody was still there for Inquisition, and just wasn't enough for Utility Pale. And unfortunately, so close, yet so far. And like we said, all these games were in a game of inches, but these inches felt like miles.
Yeah, you're absolutely right in saying that. And I think that the way that last Rainmaker game went really sums up the rest of the set, just the entirety very well, where both of these teams had states where they felt very dominant, but also you could see that their dominance was very evenly matched. They figured out how to exploit each other's weaknesses, with Scooty and Lan using their area of effect explosion specials to get triples and quads that we saw throughout this set, but also the slow but steady advancement of Inquisition using the tools from that Zinc Mini Splatling to really stall out the areas that they wanted to, the mist, the bubble, and you do a lot of dancing to get that Rainmaker right up past the lead by just enough to win them the game. That's very similar, I feel, to how our Humpback game went.
Yeah, it was crazy to think that these games played out the way they were. Like, for this being also Division 10, like, this is like, we were talking about it earlier. Both these teams have proved that I'd like to think they're not Division 10 by this point.
I'm pretty sure Popgun himself said so on the podcast, at least, saying that, hey, Utility Pale might be a little bit in the wrong div here, but that is just how the cookie crumbles. But yeah, I would say these teams have definitely proved that they are worthy of at least a step up to Div 9 next season. Yeah.
And although that being said, that is unfortunately going to be it for us. But this is only just the beginning of the absolute madness that is going to be Division Finals today. We have a ton more Division Finals coming your way here in just a little over 40 minutes. We have Division 9 World Finals, Sunstrike and Balgao A Progresso. Did I even say that right? I don't know.
Something like that.
And then following up with 3 p.m. and 4 p.m., we have Division 4 and Division 7 finals. And then later tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, it is going to be Division 6. A lot of these games are still going to be going. But as always, shoutouts to Jarian, who is our spec cam and our streamer for today for all this. But there's still a lot more coming your way. But that is going to be it for us. But Keter, as per usual, as per always, with what commentators do, where can the community find you?
Well, you can find me on blueskycater.inkling.social and all of those different places that you mentioned. North American League, Splash Go. I've commented some sets from Global Gauntlet Rewound as well. So if you're looking at those VODs, there's a big chance that you're going to see me again. How about you, EJ? Where can they find you?
Well, you guys can mostly find me over on Blue Sky at EJ46SPL, and then also at ElectroJ46 on Twitter and Twitch, where I'll be playing TSS here in a little bit. So I'll be doing a bit of that with some friends as well. And also, if you want to catch me around on IPL, I was commentating some Global Gauntlet Rewound as well. But just around, you'll be seeing us a lot around with commentating as well. But we're going to be signing off for the time being. But keep your eyes peeled for the announcements later today, because we got much more Division Finals coming your way soon. But for us, we're going to be signing off, and we'll see you guys next time.